Alright, well, it's been a while, so for those of you who haven't been around the channel for a bit, you probably noticed I disappeared off the face of the earth for the past 6 months or so, and yeah, this wasn't really some sort of burnout thing or some dramatic YouTuber exit, it was just plain life. I mean, work got busy, I wanted to spend some time offline, and I really needed a bit of a reset to come back to this whole thing with the right kind of energy, but honestly, the DMs on Instagram, some of the random comments asking when the next video was coming, those really did mean more than you think, so to everyone who actually reached out and saw me for more than just the random flight sim guy, thank you so much. But now it's time to get back into it. So we're kicking things off with the FSExpo 2025 event that just happened last week. It was a pretty packed event this year, I would say, especially on the aircraft side of things, which is what this video is going to cover. So specifically, we're going to be taking a look at everything from iniBuilds' big A350 update and some cheeky A340 teasing as well. Yes, A340, I did say A350, as well as Aerosoft's collaboration with ToLiss, who's been exclusively an X-Plane developer up till this point. That's pretty interesting, and even a quiet little 747 reveal from PMDG. So if it's high fidelity, if it's long haul, or if it's vaguely wide body related in any way, it's probably going to be in this roundup today. So as usual, a quick sponsored note before we get right into everything. Now here's something you don't want to miss. Tobii Gaming is offering 15% off their Tobii Eye Tracker 5 until July the 13th. And they're also running a sweepstake campaign where you could win one for free. Details are in the description section down below. Now, if you're not familiar with the Tobii Eye Tracker 5, well, it's an incredible piece of gear that I personally use for every flight here on FlyBy Simulations. It's an eye and head tracking device that offers the immersion of VR without needing a full VR headset. With 6 degrees of freedom, it tracks your head and eye movements across all spatial dimensions, letting you look around the cockpit or even out of the window just by moving pretty much naturally. And don't worry, it works flawlessly even if you're wearing glasses, using a curved monitor, or flying in low light conditions. So if you've ever wanted to elevate your simming experience and pick this product up, now's the perfect time to check it out. So don't forget, 15% off until July 13th, plus a chance to win one for free in their sweepstake. The links and the details are all in the description section down below. And now let's get back to the video. Starting things off then, iniBuilds has just pushed a major update for the A350 in Microsoft Flight Simulator, which is version 1.1.0, and this one's honestly pretty stacked if I do say so myself. The biggest highlight is probably the ultra long range variant of the A350-900 that is now included, and I love the fact that Singapore Airlines is one of the flag bearers of this variant, considering I actually lived in Singapore. But it's not just an extended version of the actual aircraft. You've actually got full fuel logic, proper long haul systems, and a SimBrief profile ready to go for those marathon flights across the planet. It's all bundled into the package, so there's no extra download dance required, no extra purchases required or anything like that. If you've purchased the base A350 variant, this one comes as a free one on top of that. But the ULR is just the headline. Under the hood, iniBuilds has also done some serious cleanup. They've eliminated a chunk of WASM related crash issues. Remember those OIS and FMS crashes? Most of that was tied to something called the Combus system, apparently, which they've now completely removed. Instead, they've switched over to direct data reads, which is way more stable apparently and makes things run smoother across the board. Now, since this update was pushed out, I've tried approximately 1 to 1.5 flights, but both those flights actually performed pretty well, so I have to say that the system is working well, but then again, I'm relatively new back to flight simming, so maybe it's always been well. You tell me in the comment section below. System-wise, the eCam has been rebuilt with proper failure states as well, and they even brought in real-world engineers to help tune it. Fly-by-wire has also gotten a round of upgrades, including an auto derotation feature for landings, which should help with that awkward pitch float on flare thing that you often encounter. There's also an improved GPS jamming simulation now, because yes, that's a thing in real-life ops too, and it is going to be simulated now in Microsoft Flight Simulator as well. On the FMS front, you'll also notice better data entry, cleaner sequencing, and new logic like step climbs, ETPs, CDAs, ETT, and CMS features. That's a lot of abbreviations. I'll leave all of the actual information about what this all is down in the description section of the video below, and you can always check out their Discord to learn more as well. It's definitely catering to the long haul crowd with that one. Now, if you're into the ultimate immersion experience or just like a bit of chaos mid-flight, there's also a bunch of new event-driven scenarios that are now tied into the EFB. Career mode is actually now supported in Microsoft Flight Simulator Simulator 2024, only the marketplace version unfortunately, and you've got stuff like medical emergencies, sick passengers, disruptive folks in the cabin, even lavatory smoke events and stuff like that. Each one triggers eCam alerts, cabin crew audio, and all the bells and whistles to really keep you on your toes if that is what you please. It's a pretty fun addition, especially if you are the kind of simmer who does like realism with a side of drama. Personally, not me. I like to do point-to-point flights, no problems on either side, but if you guys are one of those people that really like to have smoke alarms go off in your lavatories, have at it. Also new is emergency evacuation slides. Now these were first seen in the A300 by iniBuilds, but they're now also fully functional in the A350. As long as the doors are armed, triggering an evacuation will actually fully deploy the slides visually. It's a small thing visually, but pretty impactful if you're deep into a full scenario simulation. Once again, not for me, but for a lot of people, I'm sure this is the biggest change ever. Now there's also been a few cockpit tweaks. Side sticks have been rebuilt with better textures and geometry. The default pilot view now lines up perfectly with the eye reference indicator, which was a bit of a pet peeve of mine as well, and they've added a storm light in the cockpit for better visibility when it gets rough or dark outside. It's just the kind of detail you don't think about until it's missing, and then you notice it immediately once you actually jump into the cockpit. That's the experience I had, at least when I booted up version 1.1.0. And just to cap it all off, a fully modeled 3D HUD is also on the way. Now iniBuilds have said that it'll have dynamic projection, adjustable declutter, brightness control, and even shifting symbology for crosswind landings and stuff like that. Now there's no release date for this yet, but it is in the works, which is pretty exciting. So moving on then, let's talk about the A340 Tease from iniBuilds. This one kind of slipped under the radar until it didn't. During the trailer for the A350 ULR update, there was actually a blink and you'll miss it kind of shot of a Malaysia Airlines A350 taking off, but that's actually not what caught everyone's attention, and this is exactly why I love the flight simulation community: attention to detail. Right in the foreground here, the unmistakable tail of a Lufthansa aircraft, and not just any Lufthansa aircraft, registration Delta Alpha India Golf uniform. A quick Google search later, and yep, that registration belongs to one of Lufthansa's A340-300s. It didn't take long for people to start connecting the dots, and once iniBuilds' own team highlighted the image on Discord, the speculation pretty much turned into confirmation. Now, they haven't officially said anything, but the fact that the image itself was labeled AIGU Prev is kind of telling, right? It's not exactly a subtle breadcrumb. It definitely feels like iniBuilds is nudging the community in a very specific direction, and let's be honest, they've done this kind of slow burn reveal before, so we can pretty much confirm that iniBuilds is working on an A340. Next up then, let's talk about the official confirmation from Aerosoft regarding their development of the A340-600 for Microsoft Flight Simulator, and they've actually partnered up with none other than ToLiss to make it happen. We got a sneak peek through a feature trailer which ran a pretty intense scenario, an engine fire that happened just after takeoff. The video actually walks through the full eCam guided procedure, accurate memos popping up one after the other as the simmer follows the checklist in real time. This is all there in the trailer. You guys can check out in the description section down below, but from the flow, this is what I was able to ascertain. After the gear goes up, the thrust lever for engine number 2 actually gets pulled back, the master switch is shut off, and the fire button gets pushed. When the fire doesn't clear after 20 seconds, the second extinguisher agent is triggered. Then following the eCam prompts, the engine gets switched to ignition mode, which leads to a new checklist for an abnormal bleed situation. At that point, you start running through actions like closing the cross bleed valve, switching off pack 1, and disabling cargo air conditioning as well. And once the aircraft's high enough and the terrain clearance is good, the auto throttle gets turned off and the remaining 3 engines are spooled down to prep for a return to the airport. It's a lot of moving part, but what really stands out is how dynamic and procedural it all looks. It's very ToLiss, very in line with what you'd expect from a ToLiss system simulation, and yeah, this is still early footage, but it already shows a lot of promise if you ask me, especially if the system simulation side of things is being handled by ToLiss. We'll keep tabs on it here at FlyBy Simulations, of course, but if you're into non-normal ops or high-fidelity Airbus systems, if you're a Phoenix guy or an FS Labs guy, let's just put it that way, this one's definitely worth watching. And finally then, PMDG also showed up big at FSExpo this year with a full quad booth setup, but while most of the spotlight was on their upcoming 777 lineup for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, they did sneak in something a little juicier for longtime Boeing fans as well. They quietly dropped a few new renders of the 747 project. Yes, that 747, and even though they were tucked away on one of the booth PCs, some attendees actually managed to snap a few shots. The images are clearly labeled as work in progress, so don't go nitpicking textures just yet, but it's still the clearest sign we've had the Queen of the Skies is actually inching closer to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Now, I don't expect this to be coming out anytime soon to the sim. It's still very early stages. PMDG still yet to release the entire entire 737 lineup first. So yeah, as for actual details, classic PMDG move, they're keeping it fully locked down, no dev timeline, no deep dive, just a cheeky stay tuned to the forums for more information kind of thing. So we're still in teaser territory, but the renders do confirm that active work is happening on the 747, and honestly, just knowing that it's alive is enough to stir the hype a little bit. And ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up the aircraft side of FSExpo 2025. We've got new variants, teasers, system deep dives, and long haul love across the board. And honestly, it feels like MSFS is entering a bit of a golden era for high fidelity airliners. I didn't really speak too much about the Bluebird 757 and 767, but that's also supposed to be coming sometime next year, I believe. So I've got more FSExpo coverage on the day, including utilities, tools, and platform updates. So if you haven't already, hit subscribe so you don't miss that. That should be coming out maybe Tuesday, I would say. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, a like goes a long way to help the channel get back in the algorithm's good books after the hiatus. Either way, thanks for watching and thanks for flying by.